So the other thing we want to look at when it comes to webinars is defining roles for people in a webinar and how to control that as the host. Okay, so let's jump over here to roles in a webinar. And if you look this up in the Zoom Help Center, just type in roles in a webinar, you will see a little chart that kind of tells you what people can do and what they can't. So the roles are host, co-host, panelist, and attendee. Okay, so panelists are typically your speakers. They do have a certain amount of control, but they don't have control to start the broadcast. Okay, so typically the host or the co-host does that. So you can kind of look at options for that. But note too that when you turn certain features on for the panelists, you can decide what things they can and cannot do. So if you see the asterisk here besides start and stop their own video, you can turn that feature on for them. That's available. So it's up to you whether or not you do that. Same with over here when we talk about attendees. I kind of like to turn the chat off and just rely on Q&A, but you can turn that chat function on. So totally up to you. Okay. Polls are available if you want to use polls within a webinar, and you can use the raise the hand feature in either case. Okay, so I just wanted to show those things first, but let's take a look at a webinar that's already scheduled. And when you schedule it, you can look down at the bottom then, and under invitations is where you invite your panelists and folks like that. Okay, so you can see invite panelists here, and what I would do is hit edit, and I put in the name and the email address of the panelists that I want to invite. Okay, and so it will send that panelist an invitation. When they connect to the webinar, they need to connect through that special invitation, which defines them as a panelist, if that makes sense. Okay, so it's really straightforward to do that. If you add someone in and you want to add another, you just keep clicking add another to get all of your panelists in there. Your panelists are basically your speakers for the event. Okay, so I wanted to show you that function. The other thing we'll take a look at down here is inviting attendees. Okay, so you can see that there is a registration link there. You can also just say copy the invitation here, and of course you could change things about it, right? So normally if I know people are going to be in our time zone and pretty local, then I'm probably going to get rid of all this extra information and only put in the phone number for US West. Okay, so it's really up to you how you do that, but this seems like an excessive amount of information for me, so I'm probably going to change that a little bit. All right, so I just wanted to show you those basic things. You can also see down here under approval options, this is when you require registration for your webinar. You don't have to require it, but it is a way to keep security for your event. So if you require registration, you can do it one of two ways. You can let it automatically approve so that they just register and then they get a link to attend the webinar. However, you can say and lock it down a little bit more that you want to manually approve them. And so therefore you can make sure that you know who these people are before you're letting them access your webinar. So just, basing it on the degree of security that you need for your event, I would consider the possibility of adding the manual approval if you want that. Okay, you can also add in questions here when your participants register. So if you want to know specific things about them, you can ask those things about them. Okay, so it's up to you which fields you require here. And then you can also create your own custom questions if you want. Okay, so you really have a lot of flexibility on this registration piece and what kind of information you can collect through this simple registration process. Okay, so just wanted to show you those features on the roles of a webinar. Again, if you need help on webinars, reach out to me, CassidyH@uidaho.edu. Thanks.